Hello everybody, welcome back to Bootstrap Workbench. Today I wanted to do a practical antenna video, and when I drove in I thought, winter's just around the corner. Yes, granted, here in Texas it is 94 degrees right now, but it is October, and with cooler weather comes time to get your 160 meter antenna in proper working order. Of course, living in the South, you don't use the antenna much during the spring or the summer or the fall, but prime time is winter time. So let's get this antenna sorted out. Now, one of the first things I want to say is if you wanted to think of the worst antenna you could possibly think of, it would probably be this antenna, but there's a philosophy behind it. So this is a 160 meter dipole. The center is attached to the top of a push-up pole. Each end is attached to a 20-foot tall piece of chain link top rail. So it's very, very low. 260 feet overall length, 130 feet per side, to put it roughly in the area of the FT4, FT8 frequency for 160 meter. And the design philosophy behind this whole thing is, I don't have a good way to put in a better 160 meter antenna. I don't have a tower that I could shunt feed. I don't have a way to run an inverted L that really works very well at all. But I'm not a fan of letting perfection be an enemy of good enough. So while this is an awful antenna, it will still make contacts and it will do the job. I've worked contacts all over the place with this thing, and I'm hoping to work a lot more during this winter. So we're going to go ahead and get this awful antenna back into the best shape it can be in, and we're going to see if we can make some contacts. In fact, this evening I'll go ahead and fire up and see if I can hear anything on 160. I have my doubts just because of how cloudy it is. There's probably some storms somewhere, so we'll probably have a bunch of thunderstorm static crashes, but we're going to give it a try, and we'll see if we can get any decodes. Of course, we'll have to wait until well after local sunset to do that. But it's just me tonight. My wife had a little surgery today, and she's spending the night in the hospital. So I'm here on my own, and I figured it was a good time to get this project knocked out. Let's go ahead and get started on the project and see what we can get done. You know, one of the other fun parts about getting out here and doing anything at any time of the year in Texas, if you've got any kind of height to your weeds, is you have to watch for snakes. So being real careful about that right now. The other thing that comes to mind is every time I film outside, I feel like I'm filming an episode of the Red Green Show, only where the humor doesn't quite land all the time and the production values are lower. But, well, it is what it is. This is the end that's drooped the most. I feel like one of the ropes has come loose. I want to see if I can get it high enough to get it off of the top of the fan dipole. So let's see if we can make some progress here. I don't know what has come loose. I really should have done something different with spraying this tree, but well, it is what it is. I just hope that there's no yellow jacket nest in the top of it, because that's always extra awful. One of the worst things is getting stung by yellow jackets. When I was a kid, I used to get stung badly fairly often enough that I hated going outside, and it's only really been in the last few years that I've gotten to where I'm kind of okay with being outside again. I was outside running at one point. Yeah, I don't think that's going to clear. We'll have to do something different. But I was outside running, and at the time, this was on the property south of here, we had a field of mesquite trees that were probably about this tall, so it had been cleared and it had regrown. And I was just running along as a kid would do, and I hit a tree branch into my face, and I didn't see that it had a huge, I'd say good fist size nest of yellow jackets in it, and they stung me. My face swelled up. I basically had to drink a milkshake through one side, and I had an eye on one side that was completely closed and an ear that was swelled up. It was just awful. But, you know, you just have to learn to be more careful. All right, let's go back over to the center point and see if we can kind of get this sorted out a little bit. Well, so where we're at now is that we are contacting the fan dipole, but just barely. And the way that I run this is I never have both antennas in use at the same time. So they could be a few inches apart and it would still be okay. And crossing at right angles, I think the interaction is minimized. So let me go over here and see if I can raise this any further. And then after that, I'll have to go to the far end, of course, and see if I can get something done over there as well. So I guess the question here is, do I try to raise the 160 meter antenna higher, or do I lower the fan dipole? Neither one, in my opinion, is a good solution, but I have to make a choice. So what I do have, I really only use the fan dipole for single sideband, because if I want to chase DX, I'm doing that with the 6BTV, since it runs vertical polarization, and I can eke out enough performance to minimize the loss of gain. Let's see. How far do I have to let this down to free it? It's not awful. I do have to get this knot untied though. I've got a big knot here. And of course, there's nobody to blame but me, because I'm the one that tied the knot, right? But it is awful. So let me work this knot out. I know you can't see me right now because I set it up so I'm off frame. Let me get this sorted out. Shouldn't take me too long. And then I'll retie my knot. I've got it free. And I'll just temp tie it so I can come over where you're at and take a look and see where we're at. All right. Let's see if that looks okay. Oh yeah, I have plenty of room there. Now of course the fun part is, I guess we're not tied down correctly on the far end, because I've got the center point way too far back to the south. So I will have to loosen it over there and go back over here to the north end of the antenna and try to get it set, which the problem I have is there's a bunch of trees, so it's hard for me to see when I have things centered up. And of course, I'd ask you for help, but by the time you see this, it'll be done. So let's go ahead and get that going and see if we can get this antenna sorted out. Like I said, it is in the mid-90s here, so it's warm. All right. Well, so I know that you were thinking it when you saw the south end support. Now you're definitely thinking it when you see the north end support. I just don't have a lot of good options out here. Everything is rigged. Nothing really works correctly, and well, it is what it is. When all you have is a couple of push-up poles and some 20-foot chain link top rail and a bunch of scraggly mesquite trees, you just got to do what you got to do. Let me see if I can get this straightened. This one has tipped over a lot, and I will kind of attribute that, one, to me not having a good way to tie it down, but then also to the fact that we get a lot of wind here. We are pretty famous for wind, really, when it comes down to it. Back during the spring, we had at least a couple of weeks where we had sustained 60 to 75 mile per hour winds straight line, and it wreaks havoc on everything. I'm gonna put you on pause and walk back over here to the center point and see if I can see if we're centered up, and if we are, we'll go tie the south end down again. All right, so I'm back inside. I've cooled off a little bit. It is still hot outside. It is still daylight outside, so we can't test the antenna practically yet, but what we can do is hook up the nano VNA and see if the antenna survived and we still get our correct return loss and SWR dip where it is supposed to be. So I've got the nano VNA connected to the computer, the antenna is connected to the nano VNA, and I should be able to just connect to the device and it'll run my first scan, which I've set for 1.5 megahertz through 2.5 megahertz. So let's go on that. All right, so right now we are selected on red. So let's drop red in here and see where it comes up. Our SWR is 1.23 to 1 at 1.8 megahertz. We're going to be operating FT8 at 1.84, so let's slide up the scale to get there and see where we're at. 1.574 to 1, that's still acceptable. We're going to have far more ground losses than any worries about how efficient the antenna is. This will put us in a good place. I'll get this antenna hooked up to the HF rig and get everything set up and running so that we can do some testing on it after I cook dinner, of course. But for you, no time will pass. I'll put it all in the same video, and this should go up, I guess, Thursday morning. All right, well, I will get started on that, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, so it is a little bit later. It's just a couple of minutes after sunset local time. But let's go ahead and see what we can hear here on 160. I'm on 1.840 megahertz. Yeah, I can hear some FT8 going in there. All right. Let's go ahead and get our software started. So we're going to wait for WSJTX and Grid Tracker 2 to come up. Shouldn't take it too long. I already started the rig control and logging applications because they take a while to come up. Just have to wait for WSJTX to wake up. The downside of using an old, slow computer, but it's better than nothing. All right, looks like there's a good strong signal there at 1000 hertz. Let's see what kind of decode we get on that. KA7NWT. I didn't get a location yet. We should be getting one shortly. I'm actually not hearing anything now. I don't know if maybe the band dropped out or there's just nobody active at this moment. Oh, I guess that NWT station is in Florida. Well, if you hop onto a band and you don't hear anybody, you can go ahead and start calling. Let me get it set up here. Let's see, I'm on first even, I'm on hold TX frequency, I'm on auto sequence. Oh, here's somebody calling.
Let's make sure I'm not on the same frequency they're on, and I'm not. Okay, WD9 IOK, let's try to work them. All right, my rig is engaged. SWR is 1.2 to 1. ALC is in the normal range. Power output's 100 watts. But let's see if they can hear me, because I still have sunlight here, so I may not be getting out very well. Oh, yep, they did hear me. So it looks like the revitalized 160 meter dipole is actually working. So that's good news. Hopefully I'm not picking up all the desktop audio right now. This happened before and it was no fun. Cool. All right, let's log it. All right, now let's see if somebody else is going to call me. Okay. Let me see if I can mute my desktop audio, and maybe that will knock that out. Okay, let's go ahead and try calling CQ. And we'll have to wait until it comes around again. Shouldn't be too long. Okay, great. We are transmitting. And just checking again, SWR is good. Power output's good. ALC drive is good. So I keep the rig that I'm operating set into metering mode. I will cover how to do that on both the 7300 and the 7100 in upcoming videos so that you can see what I'm seeing. It's a really good display. On the 7300, the problem that I have with it is if you have it set in metering mode, then you can't see the waterfall. But if you're running digital, well, you don't need to see the waterfall. You know where you're at. You're at the watering hole. I've put out several calls and I've not gotten anything back, so it could be that nobody else is hearing me, and that's fairly common on 160, especially this close to daytime. This is my third run, so I'm going to go ahead and halt my transmitter, and we're going to see where we end up at. Oh, and I have calling stations now. Perfect. Let's go ahead and work K0IS, and then if KK4XO is still around at the end, we'll work them as well. That's good. So we are in the proof of concept stage. We know that the antenna is working correctly. We know that some evening propagation is here. So I probably got this working at about the right time. I'd like to have a better 160 meter antenna, but of course, as always, it's a work in progress. Let me log this real quick. And then as soon as I'm done transmitting, I'll double click on KK4XO so I can answer their call. And it looks like they're actually getting stronger. Now that could be luck of the draw. That could be that, well, I doubt they have an antenna they're pointing at me. Directional on 160 is difficult, to say the least. All right, I did not get a third call from KK4XO, so let's see if KK4XO is still out there. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. If they don't respond, I will still give 3 standard calls. So this is the second call. And once I finish the third call, I will stand down and wait for at least probably 4 cycles to see if they continue calling. I can hear somebody real faint down in there. Oh, there's KK4XO. All right, and let's log that in. Perfect. Let's take a look at Good Tracker 2 and see where those stations are actually at. Oh yeah, that's a fairly decent spread. All domestic stations, of course, but it's a good spread nationwide. Okay, perfect. I got a 73 from KK4XO, so that is a good confirmed QSO. Of course, when I'm operating digital modes, as long as I get grid squares and RST, then I'm satisfied. If I get a signal report and grid squares, I consider that a complete QSO. Now, the 73, the RR73, all of that, that's great. If I don't get it, that's fine too. A lot of people are sticklers on that, but by definition, you really don't have to have that stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to calling CQ, but I'm going to switch to odd and see if there's anybody there that is hearing me. Let's get a little closer here. I don't like to start transmitting during a partial cycle. So if I'm going to engage my transmitter, if I'm going to engage the auto sequencer, I'm going to engage it during the dead time, the decode time. Okay, so now we are calling. So I'm going to give it 3 calls and we'll see what happens. If we get that far. Of course, if somebody returns the call, then we're going to work them. So this is one of the things that I love about these digital modes, is that when you exchange signal reports, the software does it. So while there is a little bit of wiggle room in there, it's actually a legitimate signal report. It's not like working in a contest and every contact is a 5-9. Even that guy that you worked 2 contacts ago where you had to repeat your call 6 times before he understood what you were saying, that's not a 5-9 contact. But everybody wants that 5-9 in the log because it's pre-populated and it makes it easy. All right, so that was the third call. We're going to go ahead and stand down, see if we get any responses. If we don't get any responses, then I'm going to go ahead and call it, and we'll secure our transmitter and disconnect our antenna, and that'll be the end of this. But I'm pretty happy. I know that the antenna's working. I know that it'll be good during this winter. It's not a DX antenna by any means. It is definitely a cloud warmer. But even a cloud warmer will let you work a good amount of stations. So this is a case, like I said in the beginning of the video, where I didn't fall into the trap. There are various traps in amateur radio. One of them is analysis paralysis, where you just keep looking at the features over and over and comparing, and you never make a decision. Another one is waiting for the next big thing. If you're always waiting for the next big thing, you're never going to enjoy the current thing. The other one is letting perfection be the enemy of good enough. we should all strive to make things work as well as we can. But if you're waiting and trying to make something perfect and never actually seeing how it works, never letting it iterate, an iterative process where you make improvements on your antenna and see if it makes a difference. Like with digital modes where you get signal reports and you can tell, oh yeah, that thing I did to the antenna, it made the situation objectively better. That's great. Let's keep that, but let's try something else. That's a good way to get something that works in your situation. And maybe you don't have to spend a ton of money to get it. You can just get started and you can go from there. So I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I shot a little extra earlier while I was outside. I'm going to go ahead and throw that here at the end. But yeah, I'm going to secure things and y'all hang out and we'll catch you next time.
All right, so while we're out here, because I just turned the tripod around, I'm going to tell you what I've got here, what the future plans are. I have 60 foot of Roan 45G laying here. And then just back over past these little mesquite trees, I've got 120 feet of Roan 25G. So what I want to do is put up Roan 45G in the middle. I'd like to go to at least 80, so I need to get a hold of a couple of more pieces. And then kind of gently slope down and have a 60 foot Roan 25G on each end. Guide correctly, of course, to balance the loads. And then that'll allow me to have a fan dipole of some kind or a good 160 meter antenna up fairly high. Now, of course, on 160, you're going to have a hard time getting a tower that's tall enough to do a good job on 160, unless you buy an old AM station, which we've only got one here, and it just changed hands, so I'm not getting that one. But that's the plan for maybe in the spring. I don't have the funds right now, and I'm not really interested in digging the holes yet, but I'll probably try to get them dug over the winter. I've got a friend who has a relative with a utility pole drill truck, so I'll probably see if I can get him to come out here and drill me 3 holes, and then from there I can square them out, build my rebar cage, forms, get everything all taken care of. At least in the sense of prep work. I won't pour concrete until it's warm enough to pour concrete, because if you do it cold, it just comes out terrible. And then from there, we'll get this project going, and we're going to make things better. I'm also going to see if I can drill at least 4 holes to drop in some used utility poles so that I can do a big horizontal loop. Or I'm still thinking about that rhombic. I still want to do it. I just don't know if it's going to happen next year or the year after, but we are going to get there. Anyways, it is hot out here, and I'm sweating. I'm going to go inside and cool off, and I wanted to thank you for hanging out with me, watching the video to the end. I really appreciate you guys being here, liking, sharing, subscribing, all of that stuff. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's build it up.